All right. Welcome back, Region 12, to our Fall AIM Weekend, Part 1. We are excited for our next class for today. This is our last class for the weekend, all about music, the music category. And we're excited to have Sharon Carlson here with us. She is a certified music judge and analyst, and she is the master director for the Song of Sonoma Chorus. And before I hand it over to Sharon, I forgot I have two quick announcements. I got ahead of myself. Make sure for all attendees, if you do have a question for Sharon, that you do type your question into the Q&A box here in the Zoom webinar. So make sure you do that. And one more little reminder that video links for the classes will be sent out in the next few days. So be on the lookout for those. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Sharon Carlson and her class on the music category, It Ain't No Mystery.
And that's the truth. Hello, everybody. Good to see you, at least. I hope everybody's doing well and feeling good and strong during this hideous time. Soon we'll be able to make use of all this education. So I want to start with the music category. It's the best category, by the way. And I know very well that every judge says their category is the best category, but I'm really not kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Does anybody worry about the music category when they're getting ready for a competition? Just something to think about. So do you think that the music category is a mystery? Well, it's not. It's not. It's just a pile of stuff. So I want to help us break it down into some easy pieces. In judging, it's in our category, it's called weights. And so the music category is set up in two weights, 30% and 70%. And in this 30% of the category has to do with the things that people probably stress about the most, the songs and choosing their songs and the strength of the song for contest material. And that really means, whether the song has good, strong barbershop chords with voicing that enhances the strength of those chords. A question, does it adhere to proper chord progressions? Ever heard of the circle of fifths? Anybody? Yes? Yeah, well, as a judge, that circle of fifths, I'm kind of, maybe I'm confessing to being weird, but it's like a track that goes in my brain, and I actually think it goes in all of our brains in the audience. The chord progressions that are in our music, in all of our Western music, are the same. The chord progressions, the circle of fifths. And so that track kind of runs in my brain. And if someone has got a wrong chord, not necessarily a wrong note, I hear those as well, but mostly it's that chord progression. If something stumbles, it stops me in my tracks and makes me listen to what's happening and what is going on with the strength of this arrangement. And so sometimes it's because the chords are really weak or bad chords. Sometimes they're not voiced properly. And in that case, then the arrangement, the comment there would be that it's not a strong choice for contest. And sometimes I want to make a note here. Sometimes we contestants choose to revoice the chords ourselves. In other words, let's say the baritone has an easier time singing a note that the tenor should be singing, and so you switch their notes. Or somebody else's notes, and you switch them in the chord. Or you switch the bass with somebody because it's too low for the bass, so you put the bass on a higher note and put other people on those notes. Sometimes when that revoicing takes place, it actually weakens the chord. It weakens the chord and it sticks out, and we music judges comment about weak chords like that. What you want to watch for are chords that have what we call the big three, And those chords are major triads, a barbershop 7 chord and a barbershop 9th chord. And we're not going to do music theory today, but if you have an arrangement that you are considering, have someone look at it who does understand chords and just see, is there a predominance of those big 3 chords? You know, an example of that song that all of us have heard is an uptune. It's Runnin' Wild. Not the most exciting melody line in the world, but it's loaded, I mean loaded with the big 3 chords. And so what happens is the singers are able to make more chords ring, and it is stronger that way. So just wanted to say that. The other 70% of the category has to do with all of with the ways that the song is performed. How does the ensemble handle the arrangement? I'm going to be showing you a score sheet in just a minute so that you, the dreaded score sheet. But in that 70% are things like harmony accuracy, vocal skills, tempo and rhythm, musical energy, artistry, musical unity, phrasing, dynamics, etc. So let me show you a score sheet right now and just kind of play along with me here. Oops, I forgot to do it. Did that work?
No, try again.
I will. So sorry. I don't know what I needed to do. It's this way. So sorry. I had it up. I'm so sorry, you guys.
By the way, you impressed us yesterday during the rehearsal with the annotating.
Sorry.
I didn't actually realize that you could annotate, and you showed us something new yesterday.
I know, and I had it pulled up. Let me see what happens if I do this. Nope. All right. Give me just a second. Can I go off for just a second to get it back in place?
Absolutely. You're unspotlighted.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Is your tech?
Hello, Region 12. We're very happy to see you all here today. We wish we could see you live in person, but hopefully sometime soon.
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Chris. No, Gloria, unfortunately, we cannot see you. We wish we could.
This is an experiment for Region 12. We've never used the webinar product, Zoom webinar product, until this weekend. And we've been learning all kinds of new things about what it can and cannot do. So for instance, you can raise your hand and you can get called on and you can talk.
Yes.
Pretty cool. We have polls, we have Q&A, we have Q&A with private responses and Q&A with public responses, and there's all kinds of ways to do this. There are no breakout rooms. Doesn't work, but it's kind of cool.
Bonnie Flint says, glad that we can't see them. And she says, Sharon looks awesome. Thank you, Mary.
Sharon is
Wow. Okay, guys, I think I have it back.
Righty.
All set for me? Okay. Here we go. All right. You got it now, all right?
Yep.
Okay, good. So what I just want to have everybody look at with me is those elements that I was talking about. The 30% weights of the category are right here. That's the 30%. And as you can see, the things that we comment about, of course, are the merit of it as a barbershop piece, the form regarding melody and lyrics. And if you're not familiar with what form means, there are several types of forms that are appropriate for barbershop. The most familiar one that we are familiar with is the AABA format, which is even Happy Birthday is AABA, where the first two phrases are alike in music, not necessarily lyrics, and then there's a B, which is the bridge, and then it goes back to an A, which is similar musically to the first two phrases. That's just one of the forms, and we're not here to discuss that anyway. As I said, then there's harmonization, which has to do again with, is it adequately harmonized for the chord progressions? Are the chords predominantly in the barbershop form, the 11 chords that are appropriate for barbershop, which is more a major mode, certainly, than a minor mode. And again, as voicing, as I mentioned. There are, as you can see, there's in the 70% on the score sheet, vocal skills, harmony accuracy. In the barbershop style, it has to do with tempo and rhythm and musical unity. And I wanted to comment a little bit in my category right there in musical unity. In my category, in an ensemble, there's unity in a quartet, unity in the sense of in sync and in musical presentation. There's also a unity in the vocal skills. In a chorus, it's a huge thing for me in my category if there's unity in the baritone section, if the vocal skills are similar in the voices, in the tenor section, in the lead section. Is there musical unity across sections and then as a whole ensemble? So I'm listening for that. And when it comes to phrasing, interpretation of a song, for the most part, there's no exactly right way to interpret a song. I believe this with all my heart. I believe every judge, every coach has a subjective way that they look at it. If the interpretation causes a group to hold a weak chord, then obviously then that would not be, that would be something my ear would perk up to. But in terms of phrasing, what I look for is the phrasing appropriate for the song and for the era of the song and for the style of the song. And dynamics, we all know what dynamics are, louds and softs. And in my category, what I'm looking for is there a variety in the presentation that shows off the arrangement? So
Sharon, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So it is when you talk about phrasing, is there a point where you might make a comment about the choice of where to put the breaths?
Not so much where the breath is, but how they handle it. In reality, you can breathe on every 3 words, but it can't sound like your presentation needs to have what's called forward motion. So even if there are 3 words and a breath and 3 words, if the breath is handled in such a way that there's still forward motion in the thought, in the lyric line, then no, I wouldn't comment about it. What I would comment about it is if the phrasing is tedious, if it's too, and I won't say slow because that's really not the issue, but if it loses that sense of conversation, that's what I'm listening for. Is there a conversation in this story? And of course, musical energy and musical artistry are also part of what I'm listening for in my category. So as we look further in my score sheet, as you will see, I wanted to make note of this bottom area here. where that's called suitability to the performer. I don't know if that, I think every category has that comment to make. And I don't know if that causes confusion in the singers or not. But primarily what I am responding to is, has this ensemble picked a song that is suitable for their ability? I'm listening for that a lot. You know, is the song just too difficult for the ability that they have today? And that's the kind of thing I would comment on. I think that answers that question. So that basically is what my category is. There's no mystery to it. It's 30%. And I do believe that there's a lot more stress given to the 30% than needs to be. I think all of us as performers and contestants need to understand, you get that 30% before you get to the stage. You don't get the 30% on stage, because those have to do with the choices that you've made and the kinds of songs that you've picked, and does it fit your style? Does it fit your vocal ability? And is it built well? And always, if you're unsure, you should run it by a music judge. We know. So I want to stop for a moment, just see if there are any other questions. I'll take this score sheet down. Are there any questions at this point?
Not quite yet. Or, oh, someone has raised their hand. Linda. We bring Linda on. Here she comes.
Linda can talk.
Hi, Sharon. It's Linda. By the way, you're looking great.
Oh, thank you. Hi, honey.
But no, that is not my question. So my question is in the 30% category. There's a statement up there that says suitability, the very top line, suitability for performance. Is that suitability for the performer, or is it the actual structure of the song? I can't remember the actual verbiage on that top line in the 30%. So does that pertain to the performance as you just saw it, or is that just how the song is arranged?
Is the word suitability at the top? I don't think it is. I can look at it. I can pull it up again.
The very top line on the 30%.
It says
there you go. Merit as barbershop material.
Yeah, the word is merit as barbershop material. That merit, that's not the same thing as suitability. Merit has to do with how the song is structured, and the other parts of it, the form, the arrangement, and the voicings. But is the song? There are some songs, as an example, the melody line of which does not work for a barbershop contest material. They're just some. I'm trying to think of some of the songs that we might know. Mostly songs that would have a minor flavor in the melody line that is consistent. Those can be arranged in the barbershop style, and there's nothing wrong with singing them, but they don't have as strong a merit in terms of material for contest. And so that's where that merit is about. That makes sense, Linda?
Yeah, it does. So it also ties into the suitability to performer as well. It's kind of like they tie together.
No.
All right.
No, because I mean, a group can choose a song that is built around a melody that is not suitable for barbershop, for contest material. And they can perform it, and they could perform it really well, and it would be very suitable for them and with their abilities, with their current abilities. And actually, and I certainly judge groups like that, where my comments about the quality and the in my 30%, would be very different from the suitability at the bottom. Maybe they sang the snot out of it, you know, and it was a great song for them as an ensemble. It just didn't have strength as a barbershop vehicle for contest.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay.
So we have a few more questions, Sharon, and then it looks like a few more people that raised their hands.
Good.
So
I'm
the
ready.
first question in the Q&A is from Nancy, and she's asking, can a chorus or a quartet lose points if a song is too easy for them?
No. No. No, not at all. I think there's a misunderstanding in terms of picking music. I would counsel a group to pick a song that's easier in which you can ring every chord than to pick a song that's more difficult in which you might ring every fifth chord because it's difficult. So, you know, the old saying about contests is she who rings the most chords wins is still true. And so pick a song that makes you shine. You know, one of the things that I think is so important for people, choruses and quartets alike, is this is a competition. So if you were in a track event competition and you were planning your strategy for training, you would pick a strategy that allowed you to show off your best skills in the track meet. You would not train with in skills that you are not able to do yet. And so picking songs that make you shine and that even if they feel easy to you, but you ring every bloody chord and you're able to put the showmanship that's genuine, which is huge in our, I mean, that's what barbershop is. That would be my counsel is you choose your music based on strategy of a competitor. So don't pick something that's hard just because somebody in the top 10 sang it and they did it really well. That's not necessarily how it will work for you. And yet you can pick something simple, simpler, if you will, or simple, and just make it thrive and make it shine, if you will. Your score will reflect that.
Great. Thank you. The next question is from Gloria, and she is asking, where will the new song selection / appropriateness guidelines fall in the music category?
Well, in a big way. And I will say that I'm a part of, you know, all of the judges are a part of the discussion that's going on about appropriateness and the incredible work and research that's being done on songs. And so the guidelines before a contest occurs will be set. And so really before a group hits the stage, you will already know. You will already know about the appropriateness of your song or your song choices. And so there are many things in the music category that fell, many things about appropriateness and lyrics, and sometimes like if people chose something that was patriotic, as an example, it would fall in the music category to, you know, wave the red flag to the rest of the panel and make an assessment about what should be done or not done. This appropriateness is not going to be one person's decision, if you will. It really is going to be, the contestant is going to know way before they go to the stage where their music falls in that regard, and then so all of us would be involved in responding.
And then we have Diane had raised her hand to speak from
Okay.
San Francisco Soundwave.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello.
I think I know the answer, but I want to verify with you. In your category, the little suitability for performer part that's at the bottom, and you talked about, something that's too hard for a group is probably the first example. Does that, in your category, mean a song that just doesn't make sense for the group, i.e., a quartet of women that are in their 60s or 70s singing a song that's from the perspective of a little girl, or something like, that's just an example, but something that's just sort of wrong for the group?
Not necessarily. That is not something I would generally respond to. I think the place that kind of a comment would show up would be more in the showmanship category.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
No, the suitability really has to do with, does this fit you? And most of the time, that does it fit you vocally? Because you know that yourself when you're listening to a group sing. If any one of the quartet or anybody on the stage in a chorus, if you can hear the struggle, if you can hear them just fighting to make it happen, there's a suitability question there.
It mostly then has to do with the arrangement.
Sorry?
Mostly having to do with the actual arrangement of the song or the song choice. But then it's too hard for them is probably, again, the most obvious example.
That's probably the most frequent comment I make.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it just really has to do with, sometimes it's an individual, let's say in a quartet.
Mm-hmm.
That would be where I might say, the lead is struggling today, those kinds of things. So that basically it's letting the group know that, let's say that, we all listen and we can tell that the lead is recovering from laryngitis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she struggles through the whole song. Well, in the body of my comments, I may or may not comment about that, but in the suitability, at least I can acknowledge, there's the song seems really difficult. It sounds like there's a real struggle in the lead part today, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with how I would assess a number.
Or perhaps the tessitura of the song is not correct, not right for the lead.
That shows up in so many ways. I think the sound category comments more about tessitura, certainly, than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But it would show up in musical unity and basically in vocal skills, because I wanted to share with all of you that there are three elements that cross over all the categories. Well, actually four, in my opinion. Vocal skills is one of them. Sync is one of them. Energy is one. And the fourth thing that is true for all categories is the song performed in a heartfelt, genuine way? And I want everybody to understand that when you're interpreting a song, or when you're performing a song, every category cares if it's genuine. Every category cares, because that's what barbershop is. When your interpretation becomes genuinely conversational, that's when you start to see comments on my category, like your awareness of the barbershop style is emerging. When I can tell that you haven't just sung a line, put a breath in, and sung it loud and sung it soft. So I think I veered off a little bit on your question, but
No, that's okay. Thank you.
you bet. Anyone else?
We have another question, Sharon, from Chris with Mendo Lake. She's asking, what is the difference between the two types of competition categories, and how does scoring play into it? And then she went on to say, is there more showman type competition, showmanship, or the more traditional competition performance? I think she needs some clarification, maybe.
Okay, I need a little more clarification on that question. Two types of
Yeah.
scoring. I'm not really sure what that means. So can she be unmuted?
Yes, I think so. Here she comes.
Did that work?
Hello,
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know I could talk into my computer without a microphone. Okay, so what I was trying to clarify was, I know a few years ago that when it came to competition, you could do the more traditional competition where you just sang two songs, you know, a ballad and then an upbeat one. But then they offered another type of category for competition where it was almost like you did a theme or kind of a show type. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's called open division.
That's what like I said, I wasn't sure of the terminology. So when
Yes.
it comes to scoring for, I mean, does your scoring for your category change because of the type of performance we're doing?
So in the open division, each contestant has to identify one competition piece and out of their package. And that's the only piece that it's like I pull over to that part of my score sheet and I judge it exactly the way I would in what's called the international competition, which is the other type. So that one piece is scored the same way I would any other competition. Then the package itself is scored based on I think there are 5 elements, 5 categories, and I don't have that in front of me right now, but it's things like scripting and MC work, song choices, stage presence, that sort of thing. That's all a part of that package. And at the regional level, we assess a level. We don't put a number on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the open division is not yet a contest. It's open division, and then a letter score is given. For instance, like a B- or a B.
So you're really not competing because you're doing the open division, but you're getting evaluated for your performance level and with that one song as to whether you're doing it barbershop.
Yeah, well, and I know there are lots of people that really enjoy the open division for that reason, because you do get exact evaluation and a level. So for instance, the competition song I might give it a B, and perhaps the package overall, based upon my training and the evaluation of the overall package, maybe the overall package was only a C+. And that's what the score sheet would reflect, is a B and a C+.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right. I was just curious how the two categories came into play with each other. So, and I didn't realize only one song in your package is being evaluated for barbershop quality. So
That's right. That's right.
Very informative. Thank you.
Welcome.
Sharon, I have another question.
Okay.
I know the judges watch leveling videos before each competition. Do you watch leveling videos for the open portion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have, it's the same. We spend a whole evening, usually now with the open division on a regional weekend. We usually spend like Thursday evening doing reviewing open division for quartets and choruses.
Thank you.
And I would tell you that I'm sure it's true of every judge that I've ever worked with. I begin studying at home usually a month to 6 weeks before I go out on my first assignment, and I will spend probably an hour or 2 hours every day reviewing videos and just, kind of making sure every year that my ears haven't like gone deaf or anything, and that I can still write in English and all of that.
Sharon, do you mean, sorry, a clarification question. When you said like an hour or 2 every day, during times when during your judging season, more or less?
No. I'm sorry. No, I was just talking about me personally. When I have an assignment, I'm going to be judging in April, let's say, then at home, I begin studying my own materials and my own videos and my own CDs and things, usually like mid-March or mid-February. So I will spend an hour or two every day from then until I go on my first assignment. Just studying to prepare. And I'm well aware that every judge does the same thing.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, you know, in spite of what, and I will say, you know, before I became a judge, I've been a judge for about 15 years. And before I became a judge, I probably had the same attitude that everybody else has, which is, you know, the judge doesn't like me. Or, you know, whatever the comment is. It took me 1 year of being a part of the judging program and understanding the extent to which we prepare. And then I will tell you that as a judge, I am, and my friends in the chorus know this very well, I work myself, I'm usually just like sick to my stomach before I go judging, because I am so intent on doing it right and hearing it right and saying the right thing to encourage the contestants.
It sounds like a very, very big job.
Relatively. Are there some more questions?
Not any in the Q&A, just a lot of comments in the chat box. Diane said this judging thing is a lot of work. Someone said big commitment and you're paying your own expenses during the qualifying period. So just a lot of comments about the program and what a big time commitment.
Well, and you know what's, when I got into the judging program, that's true. You had to trial score at a region, and your expenses were your own, get travel and hotels and that sort of thing. And so it was a huge expense. I know in a 2.5 year period, I know my investment was like in the thousands. However, I want to tell anybody who's interested in the judging program, you should know that there's a very very good scholarship program now for aspiring judges, and it's big. I mean, I think I'm just going to guess, but I think it's like $1,500 a year that as a scholarship that would help fund those trial scoring experiences. They're invaluable. I know one of the first ones I did was because I had some air miles, and I thought, okay, if I got to pay for this, then I'm going to go as far across the country as I can. So my first one was all the way to Florida because I had air miles. So I got there the same way, and then I did another one that took me to Region 6, which is Minnesota, I think. And just for those reasons, because I wanted the experience of very different kinds of regions. But it's really cool that they have this scholarship thing, and I think it's been in place for at least 2 or 3 years. So if you are thinking about the judging program, don't be afraid. You know, everybody, the mentoring is amazing. The people in the category you choose are very knowledgeable and know how to train you and work you or help you understand how judging works. That's my plug. We need lots of judges.
So the number of judges is shrinking, or
it has shrunk, I think, in the last couple of years. And of course, as you know, we recently lost a couple of judges who passed away. So and what it means is that we just have to go out on more panels every year until, you know, and what a juggling thing that is, you know, when there are 6 regions happening in one weekend, and you've got, and you know that some of the judges are in those regions, and so they can't judge, and I'm glad I don't have to put that part together.
We do have, Chris would like to come back on and I think ask a question.
Okay.
Just a minute late. She's coming back on.
Okay, just in your discussion about how you flew around to different parts of the country, and this is just more of a thought, a question. Different regions of the country have different accents. How does that come into, how do they overcome, like if you're a Southern person, not to put your twang into your music, or even when you come from another country? I mean, how does, and you as a judge with your ears, do you hear it?
Yep. You know, I have a feeling, I know the first time that I judged in Sweden, that's one of the places where I was so much more aware of their accent, if you will. However, they, most of you maybe know that they, when barbershop was first there, and now I think English is I know it's a second language, but I think it's like a co-language for the Swedish folks, because I think they speak it just as fluently as Swedish. But they learn their music phonetically. And so what's interesting, or one of the things that I thought was just sort of fun to notice, is that even though the word that they were singing, I don't know, loyal, even though the word came out exactly the same, it had their accent. And so I would just say, you know, flipping over to the judges side, what I'm listening for is sync and ring and, you know, alignment of chords and all of that sort of thing. And so I think if anybody were to comment about it, it would probably be in the sound category, or even maybe an expression, but the most important part of it is that they're in sync. And in terms of on the U.S. continent, with the various dialects that we have, you don't hear it. You know, I've judged in areas where there should be a really strong accent. You know, on the East Coast in Baltimore area, there's a lot of dialect there. There's a lot of dialect in the Midwest, in the Wisconsin, Michigan area, and yet you don't hear it if they're in sync. You know, you just, because they turn the vowels, they turn the sounds, they move the chords in this with the same voice.
Very interesting. Thank you.
You bet. I wanted to just add, I did I experienced the same thing in Australia, and I've been in Australia and New Zealand, and was probably more aware of an accent in New Zealand than Australia, but very similar. And yet, you know, again, because barbershop is an American art form, so they need to migrate towards and adhere to the English language versus the other way around.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else? It looks like there's a lot of them.
A lot of comments in the chat. I don't think there's any other questions in the Q&A at the moment.
Okay. You know, one of the things that we had hoped in terms of being able to have you ask questions about music that you're considering and that sort of thing, even though you can't show me your charts, if somebody has a question, or, you know, you want to discuss a song title that you're working on or you're thinking about, feel free to put that in the chat or in the Q&A as well. Because I really want the rest of the presentation is really about you. So I'm waiting for any kind of questions, any questions about vocal skills. I wanted, while we're waiting for questions, so Allison, feel free to interrupt me. Vocal skills is the first thing that we hear, your vocal skills. And it's important that we all know that the consistency of your vocal skills is what determines your level. I know that sounds too simple to be true. Of course, you know, the other things I frequently say about sync, she who sings out of sync often ends up in toilet, because that's the truth. So it's having your chords aligned, having your words aligned, having your thoughts aligned, being in sync for all the categories is a big deal. In my category, it's just tantamount to whether or not I can decipher a chord. If one person or one section is slightly, or one half of the chorus is slightly out of sync with the other, it has a huge impact, huge impact. If your vocal skills are extraordinary throughout the ensemble, then some out of sync stuff gets weighed in a different way. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but the vocal skills is huge. I know as I'm listening to a group, sometimes we know this, somebody will come out and they'll have a fabulous intro, right? They'll just knock your socks off with the intro. And then they get going in the song, and then, you know, 8 measures go by, and then suddenly they are working. They are really working to make things happen. And then pretty soon they get to the tag, and the tag is fabulous. Well, I think all of us in the audience, you know, we go, wow, they really worked on the intro and the tag. And what we want to do is we want to have consistent vocal skill. Skill is the operative word. And so applying all of the things in the elements that I talked about when you learn a song, once you've learned the song, take the time, take a whole rehearsal to explore what the dynamics are about, not whether you're singing loud and soft, but what they are about and how they impact the music. Because what we want is for the music to be a believable conversation, not just a plan that you did well. Make sense? Anything else coming up?
Not yet, just Gail said, haha, I'm going to use the sink toilet line that you just mentioned on her chorus.
Well, it's the truth, isn't it? I mean, every one of us knows that. If a group is out of sync, we all struggle. We all just go, oh no, for them, right?
Absolutely. Any other questions from any of our attendees?
I see a question here that says, what songs do you think are strong contest pieces that you haven't heard enough of? Well, truth is, seems like I hear them all the time. You know, when people are picking songs, I'm glad that someone asked about the simplicity of a song, because we often hear the same, you know that, we all hear the same songs over and over and over. And as a judge, I want you to know, and I know that I'm speaking for other judges, I don't care. We could have a contest where all the contestants sing the same 2 songs, and I'd be fine with that, because I judge what's in front of me at the moment. There are a lot of really good songs out there to research and find, and we tend to hear, what is one, If You Love Me, Really Love Me. That one comes up a lot. It's a terrific song. It's not as easy as it seems. And so a lot of groups struggle with it. And even though it's beautiful and they love it, they struggle. And yet we hear that one a lot. I don't know. I'm not getting a lot of songs coming off the top of my head.
So with the suitability, but with the effort to go through the music and figure out which music is meets the new criteria for being, I don't know the right term. Politically correct is the wrong term, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, admissible.
Admissible. So that is going to in some way reduce the number of barbershop songs, or good barbershop songs, or people should be allowed to change the lyrics so that the song is no longer.
Well, the way that it's going to work, and I'm not the expert on this, but the way that it's going to work is that songs are going to be researched based upon the lyric content and the history of the song. So if a song, so just picking a song that was, and there's a, the sadness, of course, for somebody like me who just loves the chords and the ringing and all of that stuff. There will be a lot of songs that we cannot and should not be singing, and that's it's a good thing, and it's sad at the same time, because we will not have those. Picking a song that let's say a song about Dixie that is going to be very inadmissible, and just changing the lyrics is not going to is not going to meet the criteria, because the history of the song, the actual song that you're singing, is what's being evaluated as well. So you should know that. It's not a matter of just picking a song like Swanee that is a great arrangement, but the context, the era, the history within which it was written makes it inadmissible. Even if you change Mammy to Mama, you're not changing the history of the song.
We have a few more questions that came in, Sharon.
Okay.
Chris is asking, could you clarify how the music category versus the sound category are different? She says, I think sound deals with performance, whereas music deals with the selection of the music, but she thinks she might be confused between the two.
Yeah. Again, all of the categories overlap in some things, but no, as I explained earlier, in the music category, 30% of my category has to do with the selection of the song. 70% of it has to do with how it's performed. 70%, that's a whole lot more. And so what in terms of how it's performed, in my category, that list that I showed you on the score sheet of the dynamics, the rhythms, the tempos, the phrasing, the musical energy, the musical unity, all of those things, those are things I'm evaluating in my 70% as I hear the performance. The sound category is also in weights, and I don't do that category, so I don't know for sure but I believe it's 40-60. And yes, there's a artistic sound. The smaller part of the sound category has to do with the artistic performance and the presentation, where the larger part of the sound category has to do with skill, with the actual mastery of your instrument. The sound category is evaluating how, not just like in a quartet, how each singer, but in a chorus, how each section and then the unit overall, how they're handling all of the ranges and the vocal gymnastics that are required. How is that being handled? Is there mastery in that? At what level are they managing their actual vocal skills? I hope that makes it more understandable.
And then the last question that's come in, the person is asking, could we hear more precise delineation as to what factors make a song a strong contest song versus a weak one?
Yes. So rather than in the actual music theory of it, weak chords are diminished chords, are minor chords. Those are weaker chords. It's not to say that there won't be some of those in a contest arrangement, but the predominance of those big three chords are chords that, first of all, that we ring with our voices and the structure of our voices. We ring major triads. We ring barbershop seventh chords. I'm not sure if the question is about what makes a barbershop seventh chord or not, but barbershop seventh and ninth chords and triads are the three strongest chords. The other chords, there are 11 barbershop chords that are considered strong in varying degrees. The voicing of a chord is huge in terms of how, because there are a lot of people, I've listened in contests, I hear people, especially moving the bass to a note, to the third of the chord, or to sometimes the seventh of the chord, or something else. The bass predominantly needs to be on the root or the fifth of that of chords, and it's because of the first, I think, because of the overtone structure in female voices. We have I don't know if you all know this, but you know, men sing at a much lower range, right? And when they ring a chord, when they lock a chord and create the overtone structure, they are creating this many overtones. When we create the overtones, we have a shorter distance. We have less, you know, I don't know. I just find that that's an interesting thing to know. And what we want to do is, the strength of a chord has to do with how it's laid out to create the overtones. So if the bass is on the root or the fifth, and the melody or wherever, but the bass needs to be on the root of the fifth, because those are the two strongest parts of the chord. And the other chords stack above that, and then if they lock and create the overtones, we just have a better chance. And it's songs that are either revoiced or poorly arranged to begin with, where that chord structure is not in place. It's one of the biggest things that affects me in my category. Does that answer the question, or do you need more?
I think that probably answered it.
All right, we're getting close to our ending time.
Okay. If you want to see if there are any more questions, I hope that this has been helpful, because I really, you know, I wanted the mystery in the music category is actually not about knowing music theory for the singer. The mystery is pick a song that you can sing well, that you can ring all the chords in, and sing it from the heart. And you will love your music scores. I wanted to just share a thought in closing that there are a lot of people in the region, I'm sure, who, when I went into judging, were sure that I was going to go in the showmanship category after all. And I picked the music category because of the complexity that I felt it had for me at the time. And one of the things I first noticed, one of the very first things I noticed when I was sitting at a table with my head down, was that I could hear their showmanship. If a group understands what's inside their music, you can actually hear their showmanship. And then what matters to me, and what I wanted to share with you, is that then when we look up at a group and they're singing, I want you to be able to see the music. And so if an ensemble approaches it with that, it's like, if my head is down, can I hear the showmanship? When I'm watching, can I actually see the music.
Sharon, there was one last question. Someone is asking, can you state one more time the 4 things that are found on all judging sheets?
You bet.
Please.
Vocal skills, sync, energy, and energy is in each category is written on the score sheet with a little different word, you know. Mine says musical energy. I think showmanship says visual energy. I'm not sure. Every category has that, and the fourth thing has to do with singing from the heart. 4 things: vocal skills, sync, energy, singing from the heart.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions from any of our attendees? Well, thank you so much, Sharon. This was wonderful.
Oh, I hope so. I hope it was helpful at least a little bit.
Absolutely. What great information. I think it was wonderful. Thank you so much to Sharon Carlson. Thank you again. And thank you to Angela Sirachi for her class today on working toward performance during a pandemic. Thank you to Therese Antonini and for her classes this weekend. I also wanted to say thank you again to our wonderful Region 12 tech team, Randy Sahai, Pete Cheney, and Kevin Day. We would not be able to do what we're doing without these wonderful women. And thank you to all of you, Region 12, for coming this weekend. We also could not, this weekend would not be happening if we did not have all of you to be here with us today, this weekend. So thank you to all of you. Just a few last minute reminders before we sign off for today. The video links, once again, for all our registered attendees, those video links will be coming to you in the next few days for the classes for this weekend. And with that said, our registration is still open for part 2 of our fall AIM, which is in 2 weeks on Friday, September 25th. We have a class with Therese Antonini that evening, as well as two more classes with her the next day on Saturday, September 26th. And we also have a class that day with Kathy Scheel and as well as Nibbler. So we have another great weekend coming up in 2 weeks. So please encourage your friends to register if they do not get a chance to come this weekend, but they're able to make it in 2 weeks. Encourage your friends to attend. PVIs are still available to sign up for that same weekend as well. You can contact Yetta Sorensen, who is our PVI register. If you need her PVI email, you can contact me and I can give it to you. And it is also in all of the announcements that we have sent out. And I think that is it. So thank you so much again for coming this weekend. We truly could not do what we do without all of you. So thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you, Region 12. See you in 2 weeks.